Well, let's begin. State of emergency in the Russian Federation does not wait, and in our case, state of emergency incidents in Putin's Russia flowed like a river, directly cascading into a plentiful waterfall. A Russian plane made a so-called hard landing in Turkey. The passenger plane of the Russian airline Nordwind, flying from Moscow, made a hard landing in Antalya, Turkey. The Russian Consulate General in Antalya confirmed the fact of the incident. The Mi-8 helicopter made an emergency and at the same time hard landing in the Krasnoyarsk territory, in Taymyr. On board were more than 17 people. The Mi-8T helicopter of Krasavia Airlines flew from the village of Sindasko to Katanga. On the 23rd km of flight, one of the engines failed. And that's it. Then a hard landing. In Afghanistan, the Mi-35, a Russian-made aircraft, crashed. Both pilots died. The cause of the fall was called a technical malfunction. In the coastal region, about 30 cars fell under the ice in the vicinity of Russky Island. Symbolically, in the north of Russia, in the city of Ukhta, the Lukoil oil refinery burned down. The fire spread over an area of 2,000 square meters, accompanied by powerful explosions, and the actual victims. Sorry, in another way, as they say, we do not know how. According to preliminary data, the cause of an emergency was the ignition of a flammable liquid. I wonder what kind of fluid. Really made from petroleum products. That can't be. Where does such a liquid come from at the refinery? Now, if they had said from garlic that they say so and so, the tanks with the newly produced fuel exploded in the plant producing it. That was another matter. And so, what kind of liquid do you understand? Okay, you say. Stop bickering. The main thing is that nowhere else did the bridge fall, and nothing else exploded. Where it should not explode. Yeah, right now, there, an explosion occurred in the building of the Central Bank of the Russian Federation in Moscow. The incident occurred in the Central Bank building on Neglinaya Street. Interestingly, but what could explode there? Has anyone really sewn the keys to the safe where all the old women are? After which they had to summon the wreckers with explosives. Jokes as jokes, but further news from the category of real state of emergency. Passengers of the train traveling from St. Petersburg to Arkhangelsk were stopped and evacuated on the night of January 8. An alarm was announced at Sukon station in the Vologda Oblast at about 2:30 a.m. They told all passengers to wear jackets and take passports. Some came out in slates and shorts, that is, easily dressed right in the cold, where the passengers spend about 2 hours on the street. The reason for the evacuation was the message about the mine. According to the police, some woman said that she dreamed that something bad would happen to the train, and they braked him. And just in case the passengers were evacuated right in the cold. She had a dream, Carl. And they let everyone and everything evacuate. Then followed the famous replica of Lavrov. But the real state of emergency for Putin's Russia. The Russian propagandized ZRPK shell C-1 disgraced in India. As far back as the year before last, it became known that India was extremely dissatisfied with the Russian air defense missile systems Shell C-1 and Tunguska M1 offered to it. Moreover, this discontent received additional publicity thanks to Minister of Defense Sergei Shoigu, who in December 2018, during a meeting of the Russian-Indian Commission on Military Technical Cooperation, which was held in New Delhi, showed his disrespect for the Indian side, expressing outrage at the frustrating the contract. In turn, it is now that the Indian media began to stir up the past and noted in their materials that the Russian air defense systems showed themselves extremely negatively in the course of mobility tests in desert conditions. It is for this reason that New Delhi decided to give preference to South Korean anti-aircraft missile systems. I also remind you that India will not buy Russian Su-57s and all that is connected with them, since they do not consider this aircraft the fifth generation. And more than once they stated through their media and not only that the Russian Su-57 does not fully comply with the declared invisibility characteristics, but they know what they say. Since we completely abandoned a joint project with Russia in this direction under the name FGFA, because we realized that all these Putin's show-offs about the fifth-generation plane were a dummy. And instead, American F-35s are likely to be acquired. Well done, this is a smart decision.